Hi everybody, I'm Tim Newton along with Pete Quinn, and welcome to our Big Ten Championship edition of Facebook Live. Kelly Kitchell will be joining us in just a few minutes. The Boilermakers representing the Big Ten West Division for the first time tonight, taking on the Michigan Wolverines, the champions of the East. A trip to the Rose Bowl on the line for the Boilermakers. If they win, they go to Pasadena to play on January 2nd. Pete, when I was driving in today, I couldn't help but think back to about 2015 or 2016, a game that you and I did. There were maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people in the stands at kickoff, and we both talked that day about, we know that this is the low point of Purdue football. We're waiting for the high point. We're hoping tonight is the high point of Purdue football.
Well, what Jeff Brom has done is amazing. People forget what kind of a program he took over, and it was a program that you went into every single game knowing there's a really good chance you weren't going to be able to compete. And he took that program, and year one took him to a bowl. And how cool is it when you think about it? We started with Jeff Brom in the stadium against Louisville, and we lost that game, but we competed and had an opportunity to win. And as we're walking out, Louisville fans were saying, "You guys are so lucky that you got this guy." And we already knew it. And Jeff Brom's been amazing, and he's just one of the best coaches in the country, and he put Purdue in a position now that they won 9 games last year, and they're in a position to win 9 or 10 this year.
Well, the Boilermakers come in as prohibitive underdogs tonight, 16, 17 points depending on where the line is. And as I've been telling people all week, that was probably a similar situation to the last time that Purdue played top three teams. 2018 Ohio State, last year Iowa and Michigan State, and in all 3 games Purdue came out on top. This is a 1-game series. You don't have to be better for an entire season, just for 60 minutes.
Yeah, and we get to play them again next year. They're on our schedule next year, which I'm glad. I agree with Coach Brom. He likes to play good teams, and he does well against them. He does really well against them, and he's beaten a lot of great teams since he's been at Purdue, probably more than any coach since Mollenkoff, maybe. And so I think Purdue's going to do well tonight. They're going to represent well. They're going to compete.
You know, if you look at this Michigan team coming in, they're ranked 2nd in the country. They knocked off Ohio State last week by 3 touchdowns in Columbus. And, you know, they had the all Big Ten selections earlier this week. And you start to count, let's see, their cornerback, yes, all Big Ten. Safeties, yes, all Big Ten. Linebackers, all 3, all Big Ten. Their front 4, all Big Ten. On the offensive side, 9 of their 11 starters, all Big Ten, either first, second, third, or honorable mention. This is the most talented team in the Big Ten. Ohio State's good. This team's better.
Yeah, this is the best team in the Big Ten. Purdue gets to play them, but I have some problems with the Big Ten selections. I think Purdue was woefully underrepresented, and we'll talk a lot about this today. But as you said, they had 6 first team all Big Ten.
Yep.
And their center and both their guards and their running back. Their quarterback was 3rd team. I mean, you go through this list, and obviously the Big Ten and the media love them because they put them 15 guys from Michigan. And Purdue, I could go through nobody on Purdue's defense made 1st, 2nd, or 3rd Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Purdue had a decent, good, strong defense. And I look at Charlie Jones had more than 23 or 4 receptions more.
Right.
Then Marvin Harrison Jr., who ended up getting the receiver of the year. Payne Durham got beat out by Iowa's tight end, which they were close statistics-wise.
Yeah.
But that was one of the worst offenses in the country, not in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And I go through that, and I get a little frustrated. I think Purdue was not respected as much as they should have been for an 8-4 team.
Well, I would say this. If the Boilermakers win the game tonight, they have to give Purdue the trophy. We do know that.
Yes, they do.
So they do. By the way, let us know where you're watching on Facebook, and if you have a question for us, Scott says, let's beat Michigan. We're all on board with that. And Andrew says, need a big one out of number 45 today. And Devin Mockabee, again, has been one of the great stories in college football. I did an interview earlier this week, and I described him. I said, usually when you call somebody unhinged, that's not a compliment.
Right.
But he has a running style that literally is unhinged, because when he runs, you don't know which direction his legs or his arms are going next, and the defenders have a hard time knowing which direction he's going next.
And that's, I'm going to be negative early, but I'll get positive later. Devin Mockabee in my opinion, was a clear-cut choice for freshman of the year. He did not get it. Penn State's Nicholas Singleton did. Maccabee had 849 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
He had 8 touchdowns. He didn't play in the first game.
Right. Ironically, against Penn State.
Against Penn State.
Yeah.
And Penn State's Nicholas Singleton was 679 yards.
Yeah.
Well below him. One freshman of the year. I don't get that. The only possible explanation could be that Singleton is a true freshman, whereas Devin is a redshirt. But that's not how it works. So I think Devin Maccabee is a poster child for Purdue being under-respected, and I anticipate Devin having a special day today.
Well, we've documented and you've heard all week long about Aiden O'Connell's personal struggles this week with the loss of his brother. We had heard when we got to the stadium last week that his brother had tragically passed away, and I guess we shouldn't be surprised at the fact that he performed as well as he did, because there's really, at this point, 6 years into his career, nothing that Aiden O'Connell does that surprises you anymore.
Not anymore. Aiden, I wish fervently that Aiden has a very, very successful pro career, but whether he does or he doesn't, he's going to have a great life because he's a good man. He's a man of faith. He's a leader. His teammates respect him, and he came in here as the 8th-string quarterback as a walk-on, and just is going to leave one of the best quarterbacks to ever play at Purdue, and he will be in that cradle of quarterbacks.
No question about it. Boilering up tonight from Richmond, Indiana, here in Indianapolis, and Couts, Indiana. So again, let us know where you're watching from, and if you have any questions for us, we'll try and answer those. I think the Boilermakers probably as healthy as they've been in a while. The only player I don't expect to play tonight is Branson Dean on the defensive line, but we've seen Suleiman Paca and others have stepped in, and we've talked. One of the things that was a problem for Purdue back in the mid-2010s is the fact that they had very poor depth on both sides of the ball. If you look at what Jeff has done, particularly on that defensive side, the building of the depth is probably the biggest thing that's pushed this team forward.
Yeah, there's no question. What he has done, like we talked about earlier, is kind of amazing, because Purdue is in dire straits, and the previous coaching staff, we just didn't have much success, and it was really, really hard to watch. And now we go into every game. There's never been a game that you and I have done since Louisville 6 years ago that we didn't anticipate we had a chance to win.
Yep.
And what a difference that makes. And tonight's no different. Michigan is a very, very good football team. They're certainly in the top 4. If they lose today, they'll still be in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, this is a special team. And you go through their 3 deeps, and you see their 3rd-string running back was a 4-star.
Yeah.
Was offered by everybody. So he's put together Jim Harbaugh, and I know a lot of Purdue fans are not Harbaugh fans. I'm a Harbaugh fan. Always have been, ever since he was captain comeback with the Colts. He's passionate. His players love him. They've run through a wall for him. Jim Harbaugh's the real deal, and he's really, his knock was he couldn't win the big games, and of course the last couple of years that's changed. So Harbaugh's a great coach. He was the coach of the year in the Big Ten by all the services. They had the best the defensive lineman of the year, Mike Morris, the running back Blake Corum, the kicker Jake Mooney. 3 of the top trophies you can win in the Big Ten, Michigan won those trophies. So they're a great team, and I go into this game still feeling like Purdue can win this football game. Thank God for Jeff Brom.
Well, there you go. Speaking of running backs, Blake Corum will not play for the Wolverines.
Correct.
He's having knee surgery. Problem there from Purdue's standpoint is the guy that's behind him might be even better than he is. Donovan Edwards averages 7.5 yards a carry and had 200+ yards and a couple of touchdowns against Ohio State. And again, it's just a plug and play with these guys. And the 3rd-string guy, C.J. Stokes, is a really talented freshman. So the only position I think that you have to watch for tonight, if there's an injury, is at the quarterback spot.
Right.
Because they would probably bring in Alan Bowman, who's a 5th-year senior transfer from Texas Tech, and he's had very limited playing time this season.
Yeah, it's this transfer portal that, in my mind, is the dumbest thing that the Big Ten ever implemented. It makes absolutely no sense. And the reason I hate it is because we'll never have another story like in 1977, Jim Young's first year at Purdue. I was a freshman, redshirt freshman. Mark Herman, All-American, future All-American, was our quarterback. 30-point underdogs to Notre Dame, and we're beating them badly. Not score-wise, maybe 14-3 at half, but beating them worse than that. and they lost their starting quarterback, Rusty Leash.
Yeah.
And then they lost their second string quarterback, and they brought in their third string quarterback, a junior named Joe Montana. In today's world, the environment we live in, Joe Montana would not have stayed at Notre Dame. He would have transferred because Joe had sat out a year. I think that's a major, major mistake. And the programs going to be hurt worse by this are the Michigans, are the storied programs that you play at Michigan. One of their quarterbacks just transferred to Iowa.
To Iowa, yeah. Cade McNamara, who would not have been able to play tonight anyway. He had surgery after an injury this season, but he will be playing for the Hawkeyes next year. All right, let's catch up here. We've got Boiler up from Wheatfield, Indiana, Oklahoma City, Boonville, Indiana, Franklin, Arlington, Texas, Mason, Ohio, St. John, Indiana, West Lafayette, just south of here in Indy, Allentown, PA, and Avila. I believe it's Avila, Indiana, and 7 Mile, Ohio. Thanks to all for watching, and again, let us know if you have any questions for us tonight on the broadcast. We don't talk a whole lot about kickers in games like this, but they've got a real weapon. The Big Ten Kicker of the Year, Jake Moody from Michigan, 26 of 32 field goals this year. Got a great leg. He's probably going to boom all of his kickoffs tonight for touchbacks. Anytime they get inside the 40-yard line, he's a threat to score.
Yeah, it's almost a guarantee. And we faced. I'll tell you what I did, Tim. I did this for me and you. I reached out to Rock Supan.
Yep.
Rock Supan in 1976. I was a redshirt. I was a freshman. Didn't even dress. I broke my hand that week. Wasn't even on the sidelines. And then when I turned on the radio and saw we were winning, they said Michigan was the #1 team in the country. They had like a 30-game winning streak. They were 35-point underdogs. Rock Supan had 11 tackles, was the defensive player in the country for AP and Sports Illustrated. So I had Rock. He came in from Houston last night. Was at my house last night. Was tailgating with me earlier. So I brought the Rock Supan Lucky Charm. But we're 16-point underdogs.
Yeah.
But we've won games where we're a lot worse than 16-point underdogs.
By the way, just to show how much the game has changed since 1976, Rock Supan, in addition to playing defensive back, also kicked the game-winning field goal.
Well, that's because our kicker got hurt, and we had a field goal opportunity, and Alex Agassi was the head coach, and he goes, "Can anybody kick?" And Rock Supan said, I kicked in high school, and he went out there and kicked a winning field goal. Back then, 1976, Michigan's first team was #1 in the country, and most of the people in the country thought that the best second team was Michigan's second string.
Team, yeah.
And Purdue managed to win that game, so we can do this one.
A lot of pressure on the Boilermaker defense tonight, particularly in the secondary, because we've seen Michigan had huge explosive plays, 5 of them in their win over Ohio State. And we've talked all season long, tackling in the secondary is going to be a real issue. The Boilermakers have to make tackles in the open field tonight.
Well, they just have to play at the highest level they can play. But J.J. McCarty, I've known about him since he was a sophomore in high school, because one of my best friends, Joe Battaglia, a teammate of mine, coached him in Nazareth High School. And he called me up when J.J. McCarty was a sophomore. He goes, "He's the best quarterback I've ever seen." And Purdue offered, and they were after him, but he wanted to major in engineering, and his favorite football player is Drew Brees.
There you go.
So we thought we had a shot, but then Jim Harbaugh got him to commit as a sophomore to Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh did not start him the first game of the season. The quarterback that's at Iowa now did, but he's the future. He's a special talent, and he can run and he can throw.
By the way, Drew Brees, among many alumni of this football program, to be here tonight and hoping to see their team win. Let's check back on Facebook. We've got our buddy Bill Kay in Augusta, Georgia tonight.
Bill Kay, my brother.
John from Littlestown, Pennsylvania. Stacy from Findlay, Ohio. Dave in Waveland, Indiana. And Gary in Portland, Oregon. Courtney, Boiler up from Fort Wayne. She says we need more CCR playing in the background behind us. We have no control over the soundtrack here. But she also wants to know who the X Factor is going to be in the game tonight. Is there an X Factor? Who's going to step up and maybe make that big play on either offense or defense?
I'll tell you my X Factor, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit about Bill Kay. When you look at those Jim Young teams, special teams, right?
Yeah.
You were there.
Yep.
Jim Young was a Hall of Fame coach. Mark Herman, All-American. Dave Young, All-American. Keena Turner, All-American. We had some special players. But the guy of all my teammates that has more records than all of them, Bill Kay. Bill Kay was one of the best defensive backs in the country that nobody really knew about. And he got drafted by the Oilers and had a nice NFL career. Now he's got like 74 kids and he's doing well.
That is an exaggeration, by the way.
Yeah, he doesn't really have 74. But I will tell you the X factor for me and why I feel good about every game, we touched on briefly, is Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
And Jeff Brom, this is Pete Quinn's opinion. This isn't anything but my opinion. Tim may disagree. I think Jeff Brom is better on game day against teams he's not supposed to be. I think he opens up his playbook a little bit more. He's a little bit more aggressive. He's willing to take more chances. I think the X factor for Purdue today is Jeff Brom and what he might do today. I think we're going to see some trick plays more. We've seen a few this year, but a lot less than year one.
Yeah.
When he was an underdog in virtually every game he coached. He is an underdog, and he understands that. And when he's an underdog, he tends to do really well.
I'm hoping the X factor tonight are the people sitting behind us in these seats wearing gold and black.
Yeah.
Because I do think the roof is closed here, obviously, because of the weather and because it's always going to be closed for the Big Ten championship game. This is a very loud environment, and I think it's going to be really, really important for Purdue to get their crowd into the game early, make some big plays, and make sure that Purdue is ready to go emotionally, spiritually, and their fans can help them a long way there.
They can. If you walk around downtown, which I did all day today, you would feel like we were in Ann Arbor. It's kind of like our bowl game against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee outnumbered us dramatically in the city, but I think in the stadium, I think we're going to be well represented.
The Boilermakers, by the way, 7-2 in their last 9 conference games played away from Ross-Ade Stadium. And, that's something we've kind of wondered about all year. This team has played much, much better away from home than it has at Ross-Ade.
Which there's no explanation for that other than the fact that I think Jeff Brom just knows how to get the kids focused. When they're on the road, I think it gives them a little bit extra motivation. I think one of the key factors today is the kids are going to be playing the only game this year that I felt like Purdue didn't have a chance to win was Iowa. And if you remember that game, they were flat from the very beginning. Kelly Kitchell, our ace sideline reporter that's not here for some strange reason.
Actually, he is actually down in the locker room right now. We're trying to get our locker room situation fixed. Make sure that we can do a post-game interview.
I think you should be here. But that was the only game I felt like Purdue didn't have a chance to win. The Wisconsin game, well, first of all, Syracuse and Penn State, I still think we won those games, and I'm going to have to rewatch them. But the Wisconsin game, we were down 21-0, like in 5 minutes. And and then we came back, outscored them, outrushed them, outpassed them. We did everything great for the rest of the game. But Iowa, we were never really in the game.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they were playing well. People were starting to pay attention to them. And I think they got tight. They're not going to be tight tonight. They're decided underdogs. And I can't wait to see Purdue play when they're not worried about it. They're just going to go out there and do their job, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Bill Kay wanted to remind you, he had 3 interceptions in the 1979 win over Michigan.
I was going to tell Bill, I was going to say that on the broadcast,
now
so you just ruined it. So
we'll
we got Rock
Soupan.
Rock Soupan, Bill was at my house last night, and we called Bill.
There you go.
I asked Rock Soupan, I said, of all your teammates, who do you miss the most? And he goes, Bill Kay. So we called him up last night. It was a good night.
We have Kelly Kitchell joining us. Are we good in the locker room, Kitch?
We're good. We got her hooked up. We're good in the locker room.
Your thoughts on being here? We talked, the opening statement I had is we went back to, I believe it was either 2015 or 2016, the game at Ross-Ade, where we had maybe 5,000 people in the stands at kickoff.
Right.
And I remember looking at Pete that day and thinking, well, it's not going to get worse than this. Well, it's gotten a lot better.
I'll tell you, man, I'm so excited that these guys have this opportunity to be here, and looking down at Lucas Oil and seeing Purdue painted in the end zone, just unbelievable here. And the turnaround that Jeff Brom's done, and the turnaround of the program, to get us to this opportunity. Kind of didn't get here the way we thought we would, but took a little bit of help from Nebraska. But man, I'll tell you, these kids earned every single bit of this opportunity. The coaches have earned it. Anytime you can get to a position like this to be in, that's why I said it's not like we have to win 2 games to get where we want to get the Rose Bowl or do whatever we want to do. You just got to win 1. We're here, baby. I mean, anything can happen when you get here.
All right, I'm going to start with you again now. On the offensive line tonight, this is a Michigan team. Mike Morris, the defensive lineman of the year in the Big Ten, although we don't know what his injury status is, but they are so talented too deep. In order for Purdue to have a chance, Aiden O'Connell has to have time to throw tonight.
Well, that's going to be the big thing. Morris is their best pass rusher, and we'll see if he's going to be able to, how effective he'll be. I know the Michigan faithful are worried about his effectiveness, but it's going to be on Aiden's shoulders. I mean, that's what it's going to. We're going to try to run the ball, I think, to try to keep him honest. But this game is about Aiden O'Connell, Charlie Jones hooking up, Payne Durham, being the outlet and being sure-handed across the middle. And then who's going to be the next guy to step up and make the great big catch? Is it going to be Sheffield? Who's it going to be to step up there and just make an unbelievable catch? The conditions in here are pretty nice. They're damn near perfect, right? I mean,
I can't wait to hear your field conditions.
I know. So you got perfect conditions to throw the football. You just got to give Aiden time, and that's going to be the big thing. Is he going to have time to pick this apart? Because, as you know, I think we'll get guys open, but will he be able to find them?
We talked about the fact that Purdue's going to have to throw the ball, but they're going to have to run the ball a little bit tonight to keep Michigan's pass rush honest. And Devin Mockabee, we've seen have success against some of the better defenses in the Big Ten. Again, it doesn't have to be a 50-50 split, but Purdue's going to have to be able to run the ball with some success tonight.
Yeah, and the only defense that Purdue faced this year that comes close to Michigan's defense is Illinois. And Devin Mockabee outrushed their great running back. And Devin Mockabee's special. I want Devin Mockabee. He's got, I think he needs 151 yards to get to 1,000. He's got 2 games to do it. He's got this game, the bowl game. I want that young man to get his 1,000 yards. I want Charlie Jones. John Staniford's one of my all-time favorite Boilermakers. You and I were just with him a couple weeks ago. I want him to break John Staniford's
and John does
yardage.
Too. I can promise
John
you that.
Does too.
He wants him to.
No, John told me that. And so we got some special things going on with individuals. So I want Aiden O'Connell to have great success for the rest of his life. There's just some good kids that you just want to see have some success. But I'm really excited most of all about Jeff Brom and what he's done and how he came in and took over a program that was the worst in the Big Ten, right? Yep. I don't think anybody would argue that. Yep. You went into a game knowing you were going to lose, to doing what he's done in 6 years from day one.
Yeah.
We were talking before you got here about our first broadcast in Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
When no one gave Purdue a chance to stay within 50 points, darn near beat Louisville.
Yep.
And so this is kind of cool that Jeff Brom is back here now in his 6th year, and he's at the pinnacle of where you want to be in the Big Ten. We're competing. And I'll make one more comment. We had a lot of people that interviewed me this week, and they always start off with, "Is this amazing? This is the first time Purdue's ever been in a championship game." I said, "Yeah. It's only the 2nd time Michigan has been."
Yeah.
It's not like it's 12 years, guys.
Right.
There's 4 teams that have never been here.
Yeah.
So this is not a big deal. It's only our first time. Let's make the first time memorable.
Let's see. I think we left off at New Alsace, Indiana, Memphis, Tennessee, checking in tonight, Canton, Georgia, St. Petersburg, Florida. I got a boiler up from New Jersey, and I believe that's going to catch us up. Champaign, our buddy Don in Champaign. His question: has Purdue won a game in Lucas Oil Stadium? No. They played here twice, actually. Purdue played Notre Dame when Darrell Hazel was the head coach.
But it was Lucas Oil.
Was
it?
Yes, it was this stadium. Yes, it was this stadium. And so that was one. And then, of course, in 2017, Jeff Brom's first game against Lamar Jackson and the Louisville Cardinals. And the Boilermakers lost that one.
One quick story.
Please.
The first time I saw, not the first time, but I went to a football game after I was playing. Leon Burtnett was a coach, and they just opened up the Hoosier Dome. They didn't have a pro team. That's Colts were still in Baltimore.
Right.
First football game I ever played in Hoosier Dome was Purdue Notre Dame. And I'm there with Mark Herman and Bart Burrell and Tim Hull and Mark Carney and all my buddies. And the whole game we're making fun of the public address announcer because he kept saying whenever somebody from Purdue made a tackle, he'd say tackle by someone. And we're just making fun of him, saying this idiot doesn't know the names. And then the next day I read about the game, and Kevin Sumlin had like 21 tackles. And I'll never forget that Sumlin had that great game that was a big upset in the Hoosier Dome. So let's keep this going.
And I will tell you that Purdue is not one here, but there's guys on Purdue's team that have won in this building.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of high school players. You've got Mo Amadade, you've got Yanni Karloftis, you got Crockover, you got Brady Allen. There's a lot of guys that have, Strickland played here. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have played here and won in this building for sure. And there's probably more than I've even said. I know that there's a couple guys, from Brebeuf and some things that have as well. So what's going to be interesting, guys, tonight, and we haven't talked about this. I've coached in this building 4 or 5 times now, and what's really interesting, especially when it's cold out and you come play inside, the cramping. There's always it's dry in here, and we always tell you got to hydrate, and that's kind of always been our secret. We know that our kids got to hydrate because it's the kids will cramp here. So I'm going to be watching for that. You may see some cramping on the field because it's a unique environment in here, and I know the NFL guys know that, and all the dome or the stadiums like this they play in. But just keep an eye on that.
Let's check in Fort Wayne, checking in again, West Lafayette, Lilburn, Georgia. Hello to you. Albuquerque, New Mexico, Milledgeville, Georgia, and Malt Brothers, Indiana. I'm not sure, is Malt Brothers a town or a state of mind?
Oh, no, Albuquerque is where Tom Barr, great tight end for Purdue, lives now. I have a friend in Albuquerque.
You're going to talk about keys to the game. Give us a sneak preview. What does Purdue have to do tonight to get this game into the fourth quarter and have a chance to win?
Protect the ball, let it all hang out, play with reckless abandon, have fun, all the things that I'll never forget the Iowa game this year. I knew we were in trouble when Kelly Kitchell said there's no energy on the sideline.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to have a problem with energy tonight. Just play with reckless abandon, play with passion, and have fun. And that includes coaches too.
Kitch, before I get your keys to the game, a special hello, Kayla, who is watching stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So Kayla,
nice.
thanks
Awesome.
for tuning in
Thank
tonight.
you for your service.
Thank you. Keys to the game. You gotta withstand that first punch. Michigan's both teams are gonna come out with high emotion, but you've got to be able to withstand the early energy from the other sideline and maintain it, if not.
And we've seen teams come out and score right away, and then all of a sudden it seems like our defense settles in. We're like, oh, this is so this is their game plan tonight. Here's how we're going to counteract. And we've seen our defensive coaches, Ron English and Mark Hagan, have done a great job of in-game adjustments as the game went on. And that's what's going to be interesting. You're right. There may be a flurry early, and they may hit a long one early. They may do something, but don't panic, right? And just keep at it and figure some things out. Make adjustments on the sidelines. And I think the big key on defense, though, is going to be, and it's always like this, and we talk about this every week, is just getting guys on the ground. We saw this if you watch the USC Utah game. USC couldn't tackle. And that's what they struggled getting Utah on the ground. Utah was able to just, hang with it and end up beating USC. You got to get guys on the ground. Make them earn touchdowns. Don't give them those touchdowns with missed tackles.
All right, we have a winner now for furthest from the pin, Vordingborg, Denmark, tuning in tonight.
Nice.
So we got the European market with us tonight, and Bud, Indiana. Now, is that next to Bud Light, Indiana, or is that the other side of the river there? I'm not sure where Bud, Indiana is. It's already been a wild weekend in college football.
Yeah.
Last night, 4th seed in the college football playoff, USC goes down. Earlier today, number 3 seed TCU goes down. Michigan's kind of be looking over their shoulders saying, okay, we're number 2. Looks like Georgia's rolling in the last time I checked against LSU, but there could have a real shakeup and some interesting decisions to be made tomorrow with the college football playoff.
I agree. It's going to be a fascinating day tomorrow, and I guarantee you, Jim Harbaugh has had those conversations with this team. He said, look what happened here, look what happened here. Illinois had a chance to beat Michigan. We can win this football game. It's just kids got to believe, and they got to play with everything they got tonight. And I think they're going to I think this team is better indoors. I think over the last couple of years we realized adverse weather conditions are not friends for this offense. We got really, really good weather conditions.
Yeah, I did mention with Jeff Brom earlier this week that when I said the conditions are going to be perfect indoors, there was a big, big smile from Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really tough, especially the Iowa game. And, both teams had the same conditions, but I think it's safe to say that Iowa's offense is not predicated on precision passing the same way Purdue is.
No, this is a precision passing offense. This lends perfect conditions for Jeff Brom's offense to hit, and Aiden to be able to hit some of those, because he may not have the biggest arm strength cannon, but man, he puts it on the money. And when you have no wind to deal with, no cold to deal with, your hands are feeling good, and he can be precise with it. Boy, that lends some really, really good opportunities for this team.
We've seen this Boilermaker offensive line withstand some injuries this year, Pete. They had started off with 8 that they rotated. Now they're down to 6, but not the 6 we thought with Gus Hartwig out. I thought Josh Kaltenberger played fairly well against Indiana last week, and that he's going to have a big game because this is a really, really good interior defense.
They do. Their interior defensive line, their interior offensive line are, according to the experts, quote unquote, are the best in the Big Ten. But I think we're up for it. Josh impressed me when he came in, and he didn't know he was going to play. But what's even more impressive is how he competed against Indiana when he knew all week he was going to play, and he had time to think about it. And he did a great job. No one, unless they've done it, no one understands how hard it is to snap in the shotgun when you got a guy right over your head that as soon as that ball moves, that 300-pound person is going to be in your space.
Yeah.
And he was perfect. A couple of low ones, but pretty perfect for the day. So Josh has been a very, very nice surprise. Hopefully Gus gets back here next year, because I think Gus has a chance to have a nice career on Sundays. So we've got 6 linemen and maybe more, right?
Yeah.
Because like you just said, it's not the same 6.
Yes.
There's probably another Josh that we don't know about that could come in here and play. So I think that's been the biggest improvement for Purdue football the last 2 or 3 years has been the lines, both sides, and they're facing 2 of the best. I think we'll hold our own. Can I interrupt and tell a quick Michigan story?
Please do.
This is a great story. It's a feel-good story. And I'm going to talk about it again on our game broadcast. But a Michigan fan read about, you mentioned Aiden O'Connell tragically lost his brother the Wednesday before the Bucket game. And a Michigan fan organized Michigan alums and fans, said, hey, Purdue's quarterback Aiden O'Connell lost his brother. I just donated $16 in honor of Aiden O'Connell to the Boilermaker. It's our NIL and a collective. And so the guy that runs the collective is an amazing kid, West Point grad, great kid. And he said he saw this donation come in to honor Aiden. And they saw another one, and they saw another one. Well, as of yesterday around noon, they had well over 400 Michigan fans that donated $16 or more in honor of Aiden's brother. And to me, and when you read the comments, this young man that works for Jeff McKean at the collective reached out to each one of them, thanked them, literally stayed up all night. And the responses, he sent me the responses.
Yeah.
And these Michigan fans, there's Michigan fans out there that said, if we lose this game, we're okay, because we'll still get to the playoffs, and that would be great for Aiden. So it's just a really, really good, feel-good story about there's things going on bigger than sports, and the Michigan fans really, really impressed me. So if there's any Michigan fans out there, probably there aren't, but if you are, thank you. I thought that was a class act.
Check back with Pete at 8:17 at kickoff and see if his feelings have changed at that point. All right, Mr. Quinn, it's your turn to go first. Picks to click on our Big Ten Championship edition.
All right, since I get to go first, I'm going to go with the obvious. Aiden O'Connell, I'm his biggest fan, one of his biggest fans. I want him to have a special, special game. I'm going to go with Jaden on defense. He's our best player. many games did he miss this year? 3?
3 or 4, yeah, right off the bat.
3 or 4. He should have been all Big Ten, other than honorable mention.
Right.
But he did miss 3 or 4 games. But he's our best player in defense. If he has a big game, I think we got a good shot. And what else you need?
That's all I need.
Is that it? Okay.
That's it.
So I'm going to go with the other obvious, Devin Mockabee, and I think that Devin is. I know he's so excited to be on the biggest stage tonight and be able to show the world what he can do. We've seen it all year, but we haven't had a ton of big time games where all eyes are on that game, right? He's got the opportunity where all eyes in the country are on this. I'm excited for Devin because what I'm excited about, he's been making everybody miss, right? One person has not been able to bring Devin Mockabee down. We'll see if Michigan guys, if one guy can bring him down. That's going to be the interesting part. I don't think they'll be able to either. Defensively, we talked about tackling. I want to go in the secondary with Sanusi Kane. I love Sanusi Kane. He's one of my favorite players on the defense for sure. One of my favorite players on the team. He hits and he flies around. He plays the game like it should be played. He plays with energy and passion, and he plays as hard as he possibly can every single play. So Sanusi Kane and Devin Mockabee are my guys
Love
tonight.
it.
All right, I'm going with Payne Durham. Going to have a big night tonight at tight end. Payne comes in 3rd in the nation among tight ends in receptions, 8th in yardage, and 2nd in touchdowns. So he's going to have at least one trip to the end zone tonight. And on defense, Kadron Jenkins has really been a big factor here the last few weeks. I think Kadron comes up with a couple of big plays, maybe a big sack tonight. I think, though, Purdue needs to get to they need to be a plus in the turnover category tonight. I think that's going to be a big key.
If the 6 guys we just named, if those 6 guys have great games, we're going to win tonight.
Yeah.
I like that thought. I like that thought. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Again, the game broadcast on Lear Field starting with our pregame show at 7. Right now we're in Boilermaker Sports Wrap, so you can tune in. And, of course, the kickoff will be at 8:17. For Kelly Kitchell, for Pete Quinn, I'm Tim Newton. We'll see you probably somewhere from the bowl, wherever that is, in early January. Until then, boiler up.
Boiler up.
Hammer down.
Great job, guys.
I think Tim and Kelly were okay. I thought I was great.
I thought you were going to go to the edge.
Literally.
Literally.